There's a feature inside Gig Performer that can potentially save you shed loads of time when it comes to creating your rack spaces, but I'm going to bet you most of you aren't even using it. This is a shed. It's quite a lot in it. With the favorites feature, you can save any combination of connected up blocks in your wiring view and save that as a preset to recall really quickly in any rack space at any time. So an immense time saver, and the power users of the Gig Performer community will be using this feature all the time, aren't you? So how do we save a favorite preset? So simple. In this little instance here, we have a piano sound. So say you wanted to use that piano section there in another rack space somewhere else. All you need to do is highlight all the blocks that you want to save. In this instance here, these 3 blocks here. While they're all highlighted, right click and choose Save as Favorite. Once you do that, a window comes up where you can name your preset and it will save that in the destination of your choice. For the sake of this video, we're just going to put piano. And that's it saved as a preset. So we've got that piano. So for instance, let's go to my electric piano rack space here. We can add that piano part into this rack space if we wanted to. Now there's 2 ways of loading in a favorite preset. We can right click and choose favorites from there. This will bring up a list of all the presets that you've saved. So that one was called piano. As soon as you highlight that, it brings up that whole connection of blocks inside that rack space. How cool is that? So if we very quickly just connect this up to the audio mixer from the electric piano, like so, we now have a piano and electric piano, really quick. So we haven't had to set up a MIDI in block, your VST, and a mixer, or God knows what else you're doing. You can bring it in as one big massive preset. We can also very quickly bring in a favorite preset via the preset finder. So hit Ctrl P, I've covered this in another video, and simply start typing the name of that piano preset. So piano. And you can see here, there's my piano, and insert. And it's brought in yet another instance of that whole setup. So as you can see, a very quick way of bringing in a whole connection of blocks. However, I use the favorites feature to bring in singular blocks as well to save time. What do I mean? So let's say, for instance, you're a bit of a keyboard whiz and you use splits and layers a lot. Well, I'm going to show you a very quick way how you can bring in MIDI in blocks in an instant. Let's bring in a MIDI in block. There we go. That brings up the properties of that MIDI in block. So there's loads of things you can play with inside the MIDI in block, as you're probably aware. So say, for instance, you've got a whole setup inside the MIDI in block that you use a lot. I'm going to say, for instance, we're only going to use MIDI channel 1. And in terms of a split, this is going to be a lower split. So we're going to split this round about, say C3, for instance. And in the event blocking section here, I don't want any aftertouch, and I don't want any pitch bend to come through. It's going to very quickly rename that block lower split. Now I'm going to duplicate that block very quickly, open it up and change things around a little bit. This is going to be the upper side of the split. So in the split point area, we're going to relearn the split point. That's the lower and that's the higher part. So we've got now an upper area for your split points. And on this MIDI in block, I do want pitch bend and I do want aftertouch, but I don't want any mod wheel happening. There we go. And we're going to call that upper split. So we have 2 MIDI in blocks set up for a split, a lower split point and an upper split point, and we've got some other customizations going on. Now, obviously, you can do that and set them up every single time that you're creating a rack space if you want to, but I don't want to. So let's save that whole setup there as a favorite. Save as a favorite, and we're going to call this 2-way split. So forevermore now, you've got that whole little setup saved as a favorite. Let's create a rack space. There we are, brand new rack space. You've seen the score there. You can go to favorites, choose 2-way split, and it brings in that whole configuration ready to go. Really, really powerful, right? Now, this is also super handy for things like if you're using the global rackspace a lot and you're always going global processing from, yes, global processing again to, yes, there we go. Why not just save that little setup there as a favorite, and let's call that global setup. And now whenever you want to quickly send audio and MIDI to the global rackspace, you can just add that favorite global setup. There we go. And it's done really quickly. You don't have to bring in one at a time. So I hope you can see how super handy this is. Please start using it. Even if you've got like a complicated rackspace, say something like this on screen where you've got a couple of layers. Say you wanted to just save a bit of that wiring view, but not the whole thing. So say, for instance, I wanted to save this little setup here rather than the whole thing. There we go. I believe that's a Juno type synth patch. Let's save that as Juno patch. That's saved a portion of that wiring view that we can use somewhere else. So let's Ctrl P and start typing Juno patch, insert, and that's brought in just that little selection of that wiring view. See how powerful this is? And that's the Juno patch from that other rackspace that used more than just a Juno patch. See what I mean? So configurable. So if you're not using favorites already, start. It's going to save you a whole bunch of time. Now, there is another feature inside Gig Performer that will also save you a whole bunch of time when it comes to creating sounds and things. And if I've set up my YouTube end screens thingy properly, you'll see that just here. Yeah. You can click it. Too late.